I believe that the is like the sickest classic car right now.
It's crazy.
And that's the car I want. Guys, welcome back to the channel. We got Tony.
Hey!
Houston, right here ready to talk about getting some new cars.
Not just any new cars, a dope car. I'm talking about high-level car.
Hypercar, you say?
Hypercar.
No, hypercar is that's a new relative term. Hypercar is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a classic car. I'm looking to go old school. I'm looking to go something like 1970s.
Woof.
Maybe that's too old, huh?
That's way too old.
Are you sure that's too old?
Absolutely, because not only that, you break everything from this era. What makes you think you won't break anything from the 1970s?
True that.
Yeah.
I was looking on eBay and I was looking on some of the auction sites all week. And you guys, you got to understand something right now. My current car that I want to buy is a LaFerrari. Okay, straight up,
car.
I want to buy a LaFerrari. I've got a Veyron. I've got, you know, some other like mid-level, like $600 to $1 million cars. I got an SLS Black Series. I've got the gated Murcielago 640. I just sold the SV Murcielago because my boy Randy wanted it so bad. I hooked him up, made his dreams come true. Shout out Randy. And that got me like really thinking. The LaFerrari. Okay, so let me break it down. LaFerraris are about $2.5 to $2.8 million pre-pandemic, and they're like mid threes right now. So that's kind of the car I like because it hasn't really like tripled in appreciation.
Which it could have been a car that could have, though, because that car has that cool factor that could have.
The thing is the reason it doesn't is because it's hybrid. Hybrid cars are not going to last the lifetime, and they're not going to grow in value like a car like the Ferrari Enzo would, right? And I've looked at Enzos in the past, and you know, the Enzo is a unique car, and I'm not like at the collector level where I could go and just pick up an Enzo, let it sit there forever. I'm the guy that wants to get the Enzo, convert it to a 6-speed manual, go do some wild stunts in it, and just have a good time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like an Enzo is a $3.5 million car, which is the same as the LaFerrari. So you have to think these cars that are 10 years or 11 years previously made are surpassing the new cars very quickly, right? And we've got the Bugatti EB110 that is so close to surpassing even the Chiron. The Veyron, it's skyrocketed past already, but the Veyron hasn't yet really taken its big jump in appreciation. So let's take a step back. When I'm talking about the LaFerrari, right? If I purchase a LaFerrari, it's a short-term thing, and it's a car that like I've driven one. Oh my God, it is amazing. It's every second of that car is a visceral, emotional experience. But if you break the battery, it's $125,000. Now, that's not the end of the world when you're talking about a $3 million car. But the problem with it is, it's 6 months, 8 months, 1 year.
It kind of like the Koenigsegg shifter cables. It's just a technology that isn't being produced, right?
Correct. Yeah. So like the LaFerrari batteries are impossible to get. And at $125,000, that sucks, right?
Steep.
So you're looking at $3.5 million potential battery issues, and the majority of the cars in the market have like 500 miles. And for me, that's terrible because when you go from 500 miles to like 1,500 miles, the car goes down $500,000. So you know, essentially, you're paying $5,000 a mile to drive the car, and that sucks.
Yeah,
right?
That better be an enjoyable mile.
Tony and I were talking, why don't we just step it back, go classic, right? Because those cars are all over the board. There is no pricing structure for a car like the Bugatti EB110, the Ferrari F50, the Ferrari F40, all of those classic era cars. The CGT, great example of a car that went from 800 to 2 million. It's like they're appreciating $300,000 a month. 6 months ago, they were like 800 grand. And
I remember a 600,000 one.
That was about 2 years ago. Yeah. When I had my Mansouri Veyron, I was offered 2 Carrera GTs on trade, for $600,000 each. The guy wanted to give me $1.2 million for the car, and I thought, you're crazy. Those cars are terrible.
Yeah.
I had driven one previously, and it wasn't a car that I really enjoyed, but I also wasn't that confident of a driver as I am today in a car of that caliber.
Yeah.
So I think today, if I got in that car, I'd be a little bit more apt to push it to the limit, which is pretty interesting to think that like those cars sat for tens of years and no one touched them.
Yeah.
They're really just weren't driving around.
Yeah.
You know, and the unfortunate Paul Walker incident where he lost his life in the Carrera GT kind of put that car on the back burner, I think. I think a lot of people were like, wow, this is a really dangerous car.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with it. And for me, I'm like in the boat where I'm like, I'll buy anything if it has good value.
Mm-hmm.
The CGT doesn't exceed $1 million for me, man. It just doesn't. I love it at 600, knowing what I know now. I love it at 800, right? And even $1 million. But now they're crossing 2 million. One sold for a little over 2 million at an RM Sotheby's auction just a few weeks ago. There's just no way.
No, I will always think, and I've told you this, I've never been a fan of the CGT. Everybody's like, oh, it's this great car, but I think that is one of the most overrated looking everything cars out there.
There's a lot of people that own those cars and make videos of those cars, and they go and drive those cars, and it's 50-50. People talk amazing about it because of the sound of the engine, and then people talk poorly about it because of how difficult it is to use.
Yeah.
And it's like a 50-50 thing. So I lie in the fact of like, I'm down to own any of those cars if they have the right value, right? And you can justify the investment.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not what I'm after today.
Mm-hmm.
Today I want to buy a car that, could be an investment, but I want to buy a car that's giving me that driving experience, that sex appeal. When I see it, I'm like excited. I wake up in the morning and I can't wait to go to work because I'm driving that car to work, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm after today. So my first thought, being a large Bugatti owner and, you know, having multiple Veyrons, and having just repaired the one Veyron that went into the water and completing that project, I'm like on a Bugatti kick, right? Yeah. So I wanted to get a Chiron, but I kind of want the Super Sport, and that's like $4.5 million.
Just go ahead and say it. That one, the Chiron doesn't do it for you.
It does. The Chiron, the regular Chiron doesn't.
Yeah, that's
I've driven the regular one. I've driven the Pure Sport. I've driven the Sport, and I have not driven. Actually, I'm sorry. I have driven the Super Sport. The Super Sport is the end all be all of Bugatti at the moment right now. It is spectacular, but it's like a different car. It really is like SLS and SLS Black Series, right? It's a completely different car from Chiron to Super Sport.
Yeah.
So like at $4.5 million, it's out of my like realm of where I'm like cool with that, you know, because that buys you a lot of cars. So EB110 manual transmission Bugatti.
Yeah.
Scissor doors, which is kind of interesting.
It's a very interesting looking car.
Very weird looking car. Only one in the market's $2,500,000.
What?
That's the problem. $2,500,000.
$2,500,000?
Yeah. Jeez. And it's blue on gray.
The blue is cool.
The blue is fine.
He hates blue, but the blue is cool. The blue is a cool car. I don't know much about the car. I usually, on all the Bugatti stuff, Houston has so much inside information for all you guys that don't know, or have never got to sit down with them. So much inside information on the Bugattis that you're like, how does he know this? How does he know this?
That's true.
That's on a lot of stuff, but
do a lot of research.
The EB110 is a car I don't know much about, but the look of the car, you still know it's a Bugatti.
Oh yeah, it's sick Bugatti.
Yeah, you look at it and you're like, wow,
that's definitely. I'm open to that. I've never driven one. I've never sat in one. I've only seen one twice in my life. So it got me thinking. Let's look in this era.
Yeah.
Ferrari F50. It is probably the best. It's hard to say the best of everything, but it's one of the best sounding cars ever created. It's a Formula One engine stuffed in a road car, and it's visceral. It's a manual gearbox, and the top comes off. Mm-hmm. So it's like a Targa, which is pretty sweet because you get a straight pipe exhaust on that thing and you're just singing down the freeway, and when the top is off, oh my gosh, it's wicked. There's one in the market for sale right now, Miller Motor Cars, $4.3 million. I think they're out of the goddamn mind.
I was gonna say, what? Do you think
they
that's
were
a solid
just
investment?
they were just $3 million. This one's got 12,000 plus miles. I talked to the guys over there and I said, look, I'm a buyer on this car at 3.1, 3.2, 100%. That's the market on the car. Look at classic.com, see the price points, look at where they're going, and they're stabilized in the low threes. There is nothing going on above that. Now there's one car that sells at 3.7 and it's like, oh, the market's going crazy, you know? And it's like, people take this like so to heart. Same thing happened with the LFA. They sold one LFA at one auction, one time, and it jumped the price 300K.
Yeah.
And everybody's asking 750 for an LFA from 400, right? And so like, this is what's happening right now with a lot of cars. And so the F50, I'm super down with, but that got me thinking again.
Of course.
Let's go back. F40, twin turbo, V8. Better, way better looking than the F50.
Yeah.
Super, super sick lines on that car. More budget oriented.
Yeah.
2.5 million average F40 sale. Now F40s have US spec cars and European spec cars, and there's major differences between the two. There's fuel tanks on the fuel tanks on the US spec car, fuel bladders on the European car. Tons and tons of differences. I like the F40 right now the best for the value. Seats are pretty sweet. It's a real race car. Like, it's like one of the greatest looking cars I think ever designed by Pininfarina.
I've only seen one in person, and it is a very, very beautiful car because every interior is red, correct?
Pretty much all the same. I mean, unless you modify it, but I've never seen. They're all just like gray, like carpeted dash. And then it has red, like texture, like a textile seat or something.
When you see cars like that, you're like, man, I don't know if this is they're all like this.
Yeah.
Or like the Carrera GT, I feel
They're
in my
all
mind
silver and
they're
brown.
all silver and brown.
They're all
and I'm like,
there's a few red
who
ones.
decided this?
It's weird, but about 1,100 F40s were made. Don't quote me on the number. 200 and something came to America as American cars, so they're relatively rare. And I bet you that there's probably 20 to 30% of them that are gone from accidents and crazy stuff that happened.
Yeah, the last couple of years we've seen some fires, some accidents on the F40s. They're online.
Yeah. So I believe that the F40 is like the sickest classic car right now.
It's pretty sick.
And that's the car I want because that price point is a little more accessible and there's a lot more buyers at that price point if I don't like the car for some reason and I'm like, no, this car sucks. The F40 is very unique also because it's turboed. I can modify it. I can upgrade the turbos. I can do the exhaust, right? I can make it faster. I can tune it. I can also do like body mods, right? Because the wing is detachable, so I can do the LM style wing. I can lower the car because I'm stock coilovers. Like, there's a lot of versatility with that car, and it gives me a lot of content to put out, but it also gives me a lot of kind of like connection with the car. When I'm starting to modify it, it makes it really individual to me. I don't know what you guys think, right? I've kind of made this video talking real fast because I didn't want it to be like a 30-minute video, but you think F40 is the way to go? I mean, there's really nothing else, right? I mean, you've got junk cars that are pretty cool, like the Jaguar XJ220, right? Which I wouldn't buy. I like that car.
Oh, God.
I bid on one time. Mario's sitting over here, like pointing at me, and I'm sitting in Monterey at like 350, 400. He was hitting me. He's like, stop
it.
There's that car. There's a Saleen S7, which is super dope.
Super cool car.
That's actually on the cards, but it's not really. There's not in the market right now, so we'll see. But those are low. Those are $400,000, $500,000 cars. I mean, those can be replaced easily. I don't know any other cars. I mean, I've got Countach already, right? So I've already got I think I have the first.
Yeah,
I really think I have the first U.S. homologated fuel-injected Countach ever made. I swear to you, I have the first one. I'm trying to find it out. I've contacted Valentino Balboni and his team and all those people. So I'm hoping that he is going to be able to get us that information. But so I've already got the Countach, had the Diablo, I've got the gated Mercies, right?
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Yeah, I mean,
just the Ferrari F40.
That's really the only direction you can go.
Correct.
The
so
599, the 430s. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the next.
I mean, I've got
the
gated 599 right here. I've got gated 430 right there. Gated
Behind
430 right here. I mean, all those cars are
360.
I have
Yeah,
360 gated, yeah. So
that has to be the next step.
I think that's the next step. I really, really do. You guys comment below and let me know if F40 is the car you guys want to see. I'm buying it anyways. If you say no, I don't really care. That's the car I've got in my mind. I'm shopping for it already. I've got it all over the place.
We all know how that goes.
Yeah, if you know of like some wicked F40s for sale, shoot them to me. Let me check it out. You can email them to me at Houston at Royalty Exotic Cars or Tony, right? I'm kind of pumped for this new era, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start playing like 1980s music,
Oh God.
like in my office. You know?
Well, I was gonna say you can't do it driving the car because the F40 does not have a radio.
Mine will.
All right.